Okay, so what if I told you Chris Brown's darkest scandal, well, maybe his most recent darkest scandal, didn't actually happen in Hollywood? We're talking a London nightclub. And it was kept completely under wraps, hidden for almost 2 years.
Yeah, it's pretty extraordinary when you think about it.
It really is. We're talking about an alleged violent incident, a massive legal claim, and now, finally, it seems like the truth is starting to trickle out. This isn't just another celebrity headline. We need to ask, what actually happened that night in London?
And why? Why the silence for so long?
Exactly. And the big one, could this finally be the case that ends Chris Brown's career? For good this time. Okay, let's unpack this. Today we're doing a deep dive into this alleged London nightclub assault. It dates back to 2023, but it only really blew up publicly, leading to his arrest in Manchester just back in May 2025.
Right.
And the accusation at the core of it all is, well, it's incredibly serious. He allegedly smashed a tequila bottle over the head of a French music producer, Abraham Diaw.
In a very upscale London club, too.
Yeah. And look, even for people who follow Brown's past issues, these specific claims, when they finally surfaced, they were a shock.
Oh, absolutely. And what really makes this stand out, I think, and it's quite chilling, actually, is how quiet it was kept initially. I mean, think about it. An incident this severe, supposedly involving an artist of his profile, just vanished. It lay dormant for nearly 2 full years. It wasn't until Abraham Diaw, the producer, stepped forward with this colossal 16 million pound civil lawsuit.
15 million, wow.
Exactly. That's when the dam basically broke, and it forced the criminal side of things into the open, too. That silence, that long period, it's not just unusual. It really highlights, these complex, sometimes opaque systems within the entertainment industry. Networks designed maybe to manage or even suppress damaging information, especially when big stars are involved.
So it raises the question.
Yeah, it makes you wonder, doesn't it? How many other things like this might get contained before we ever hear about them?
Right, so it wasn't just quiet. It might have been actively suppressed.
That's certainly what the timeline suggests could be the case.
And now that it is out, legally speaking, where do things stand? What's the current situation?
Well, Brown's legal team, they've been absolutely firm. He's pleaded not guilty to all the charges.
And what are those charges specifically?
Okay, so you've got grievous bodily harm with intent, basically. Intending to cause really serious injury.
Okay.
Then assault causing actual bodily harm. And also possession of an offensive weapon, the bottle, presumably. His team insists he's innocent. Their line is that he's being targeted because he's Chris Brown, because of his fame.
Targeted because he's famous. I mean, that's a common defense, isn't it? But you could also argue the flip side. Hasn't his fame perhaps sometimes given him maybe a different kind of scrutiny? Or even, some might say, leniency compared to an ordinary person? How do you balance those two ideas?
That's exactly the tension here, right?
Okay.
It's the core of the public debate. His team says target, but the prosecution, they're saying, look, the evidence speaks for itself.
And what evidence are they pointing to?
They're talking about eyewitnesses from the club, surveillance footage, presumably from inside or nearby, and detailed medical reports about Diaw's injuries. And the seriousness of these charges, plus that evidence they claim to have, it's reflected in his bail conditions. They're pretty extraordinary.
Yeah, I saw that. The $5 million security bond.
Exactly. £5 million.
Yeah.
That's basically a huge financial guarantee he has to put up to ensure he shows up for court.
That's a massive amount.
It is.
Yeah.
And alongside that, very strict travel limits. It's almost unprecedented for someone of his stature. It just signals how seriously the UK court system is viewing these allegations.
Wow. Yeah, a £5 million bond really hammers home the gravity here, maybe more than just listing the charges does.
It absolutely does.
It makes you realize just how much legal pressure he's under, which I guess inevitably brings us back to those bigger conversations, doesn't it? The ones about celebrity privilege.
Absolutely. This case, it's not happening in a vacuum. It's become a real flashpoint for that whole discussion.
Yeah.
The idea that maybe stars operate under different rules. You see the divide clearly. On one side, you have his loyal fans. They point to his long career, his talent, maybe charitable work he's done. They argue for giving him another chance, for redemption.
Right, the comeback narrative.
Exactly. But then on the other side, you have critics looking at his history, looking at this incident and saying, enough is enough. They feel this kind of legal and social leeway, if it exists, needs a serious rethink.
Yeah.
Especially when you compare it to how similar accusations might be treated for someone well, not famous.
And it seems like the entertainment industry itself is kind of split too, which is fascinating, isn't it? It feels like it reflects a bigger cultural moment.
It really does. You see some collaborators sort of quietly stepping back, maybe distancing themselves, while others are still publicly supporting him or at least working with him. It really shows you that tension between loyalty, business, and accountability in the industry.
Yeah. And meanwhile, in all this, Abraham Diaw, the alleged victim, he's been pretty quiet publicly, hasn't he?
Largely, yes.
Yeah.
But his legal filings, that civil suit especially, they paint a very clear picture from his perspective. He's alleging permanent injuries, trauma, and significant disruption to his music career.
Right.
So for him, you get the sense this civil lawsuit, the 60 million pound one, it's not just about the money. It feels like it's about accountability. It's about trying to hold someone powerful responsible for what he alleges happened, regardless of what happens in the criminal trial.
Which raises a huge question, doesn't it? As the criminal trial gets closer, the civil case is moving forward. What happens next could be massive.
Oh, definitely. It could define not just Chris Brown's legacy, but it could also say a lot about the entertainment industry's actual willingness, push comes to shove, to hold its stars accountable.
So we're looking at questions like, could he actually be barred from entering the UK again?
Potentially, yes.
Yeah.
Depending on the outcome.
Will brands finally drop him for good this time? Will streaming platforms maybe start to, distance themselves from his music?
These are all very real possibilities now. The stakes feel higher this time.
It really feels like this story is far from over, and you hear whispers. More revelations might be coming, possibly career-ending ones. What do you think is the biggest sort of takeaway question this whole situation leaves us pondering?
I think the most haunting question, really the one that hangs over everything, is just, what if he's found guilty?
Right.
Because that outcome, a guilty verdict, it wouldn't just impact his freedom, obviously. It could fundamentally shift the landscape of celebrity accountability. What happens in this case could genuinely set a precedent for how the industry deals with its biggest names when serious allegations arise in the future.
And that's definitely something we, and probably you listening, will be watching very, very closely as this whole thing continues to play out.